first thing like that.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The notice requirement provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act has been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given, was published in the Asbury Park Press on February 15, 2014. This notice has been posted at the Township of Middletown Sewerage Authority Administration Building, Township of Middletown Municipal Building, and filed with the Township Clerk. Roll call.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Mrs. Smith is absent. She's out. She's absent. Mr. Stokes?
here.
Mr. Reed?
Yeah.
Mrs. Apted?
Here.
Mrs. Bell?
Okay, the reorganization, the first item, the appointment of chairperson.
I will step out of my chair.
I guess a little discussion on that. It's been a long year. A lot of things went on in 2013. Recovering from Sandy basically was the primary effort. I think it took a lot of leadership to do it. A lot of things were on the table. A lot of things had to be tracked. And it turns out there was one person who was able to do it and has done it very well. And I think the person is Chantal Bob. She made an excellent chairperson. I have to congratulate her because I couldn't have done it. And I would give her the honor of continuing as chair for 2014.
A second.
Well, thank you very much. Roll call. Mr. Rogers?
Yeah.
Mr. Stokes?
Couldn't hear you. What was the resolution? What was the motion?
For the appointment of Mrs. Bell as chairperson?
You need an answer, Tom?
I'll abstain.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Apted?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Okay, appointment of vice chairperson.
Well, I would like to emulate the words that April said and tell you all that, yes, there was a lot going on during Sandy, and we were very fortunate to have a great team, great professionals, fabulous employees. Ray did an outstanding job, Brian, George. Brian came on very late in the year. But without Abel filling in and helping me out, to be quite honest with you, it was a rough year. And I really thank Emil very much. And Emil, I'd love for you to continue as vice chair.
I second.
I object.
Okay, roll call.
It's not fair.
Right.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Apted?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Appointment of secretary treasurer.
Well, I would like to nominate Joan, who is not here. Joan has been a fabulous treasurer, as you know, secretary treasurer. She goes through every bill and watches every single thing, and if she's not sure, she will make sure that she understands what's going on. So I really would like to thank her in her absence.
An abstention.
An abstention. But I really like to thank her, even though she's not here, and to congratulate her on the wonderful job that she does do for us. So, can I have a second?
I second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yeah, with a comment, I'm signing a ton of checks because although Joan is not here tonight, she did make an effort to come during the day to go over in detail the bill list and mash up all the checks so I can actually put the second signature on the checks. So,
Mr. Apted?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
The appointment of auditor.
Well, I seem to be doing all the talking.
I'd like to nominate Bill Myla. He's been an auditor for quite a number of years. He keeps us straight. he keeps his numbers, us on numbers straight, and when we ask him a question, he comes back with the right answers and fills us in, and he does agree with us, he lets us know. And I appreciate that.
Question on the motion?
Yeah? Well, do you have something you want to discuss? Do you want to go into executive session?
Yeah. Is
Okay.
it still Myra that's being appointed, or is it that new firm of his that's being appointed?
Okay, we can go into executive session.
No, it's the firm. No, is it,
Okay, well, as carryover attorney from last year, I have researched that fact, and in fact, the statute providing for the appointment of professionals, unlike the municipal statute, does not particularly designate that a person be appointed. The municipal statute does provide for a person. I think this is in fact a personal appointment, but the sewage authority statute does not specifically require the appointment of an individual. It just says professionals. To that end, I would suggest that it makes no difference whether it be a firm appointment or a personal appointment. But I think the resolution is written as a person, which nullifies the question.
Okay, thank you. I would like to go into executive session, so can I please ask everyone other than the board and the attorney to please step out, and then you can come back in when we're done.
Could I see if we get my laptop real quick?
Thank you, Ms. Bowman, I appreciate it.
Okay.
You okay?
Yeah.
Okay, we are now back in executive session.
out of the
I'm sorry. Out of executive session, back into regular. Do I need to do anything special, Richard?
No, you can continue with your meeting.
Okay. I also, at this time, I'd like to thank everyone for their indulgence in moving this meeting. Last week, Thursday, it was a little bit harrowing in the morning, and we really didn't know what to do, and because we had a 48-hour notice, we jointly had to figure out what we wanted to do with the meeting to get bills paid and do things, business that we had to do. So I want to thank everyone for their indulgence in that. And if you look on the website, it was up there in nice big red letters. Thank you, George, you did a good job with that. Okay.
The board left open meeting at the motion of appointment of Bill Milo, CPA, as auditor. There's not been a vote taken on that seconded motion at this time.
Who made the motion?
I believe the motion was made by Chantal Bowen, seconded by Mr. Zapsik.
Vote.
You ready for, okay.
Ready to vote.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Zapsik?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowden?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Pleasure working with you.
And thank you for your work.
Thank
You
you
know,
for,
it's,
thank you for your input and keeping us straight.
it's
Do my
Nice.
best.
Great pass.
not easy.
Next is the appointment of the engineer.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint John Lindorf of Mesa.
Second.
John has done a very good job. He's, brings in the resources that we need. This has again been a difficult year. We've had a lot of engineering input that was required to get us from basically broken to now we're full up and running. And also stepping in to handle all the FEMA issues that I've attended some of the FEMA meetings. I will tell you, you haven't attended anything until you attended a FEMA meeting, and it's quite a chore. Anyway,
Okay, Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Yes. Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Zapsik?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay, appointment of the attorney.
I'll take this one. I know Rich professionally, personally, and from a lawyer's perspective, he brings a unique balance of competence and common sense. From my brief tenure on this board, I've watched him take control of difficult issues, and he's not only knowledgeable, but he also has the ability to deal with a gamut and a broad range of both legal and non-legal issues, and I think that he's a pleasure to deal with, and I would wholeheartedly recommend him and endorse him to continue as the attorney for this board.
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Zapsik?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes, and I'd also like to comment on how fortunate we are to have Mr. Leahy on our board, putting in so many hours and so much time for us. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, and thank Mr. Zapsik and the chairwoman for their kind comments.
Okay, next is the official depositories. The resolution is for Valley National Bank and the Two Rivers Community Bank.
Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Zapsik?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Next is the official newspaper. The resolution reads about the Asbury Park Press designated as the official newspaper of the authority.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Zapsik?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Okay, next is approving the fiscal year, January 1, 2014 to December 31st, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Zapsik?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Okay, the next resolution is for the member's salary, approving the annual salary of the chairperson and members.
There's a motion?
Moved.
There's a second.
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Zapsik?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Okay, next is the setting of the meeting dates for the year 2014.
Is 8 o'clock the,
Yes.
is what it's gonna be?
Yes.
Okay.
Right at the bottom.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Zapsik?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Okay, now we're to the regular meeting. First item is the minutes of the regular meeting of January 16th.
May I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Okay, next is a consent agenda. Does anyone desire to discuss any individual items on these resolutions?
Yeah, well, on 17/2014, you have a construction resolution of 608. What's that?
I believe that the page with the bills that you signed.
Oh, that's it, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay,
Yeah,
okay, fine. Let me just go through, I
Yeah,
see if I
that's
had
it.
any
yeah,
comments on this thing, this one.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I have no comments, okay.
If anyone noticed Pilot, that was the work done for motor work and oil samples and supplies and things like that. So if anyone had a question.
Is it Palo Electric?
Mm-hmm.
Electric is also the company that rewinds our motors. So they do all that stuff. In fact, during the Sandy process, when we pulled the motors, a lot of the motors went to pilot for rewinding, because some of the motors we couldn't get. So they did an excellent job of putting our motors in back to tip-top shape. Even though, in some cases, FEMA wouldn't accept rebuild motors. And there's a whole story with that one, but I don't wanna get into that.
Okay, we have a motion. Second?
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Absey?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Okay, next is the engineer status report.
Okay, the Sandy Hurricane Support Services, it's been a few seminars that Brian has attended with Sue on one occasion and myself on another, relative to some of the funding applications. Some of that's related to FEMA, others related to the other project with the pump stations. The MCC generator cogen evaluation study, we've discussed this with board members and executive director. We're gonna set up a engineering committee meeting, but basically, it was basically concluded because of time restraints on this, getting the design done and in, to utilize the existing cogen project as a base, and then to tie into that the MCC generator building and upgrades. The cogen will be bid as an alternate as it stands right now, with the anticipation that if the prices were to come in good, and if the funding comes in good, we get a principal forgiveness, looking at possibly 19% here with principal forgiveness on top of and they extend that grant, then, you know, the cogen project will be viable. We made some modifications to that as discussed previously, plus with some of the other modifications we talked about. Replacing one of the digester covers in lieu of the other freestanding, and it eliminates a lot of problems with the flooding issue. And also possibility, right now we've got it set up with internal combustion engines, but part of the engineering committee will be that we would
We need
make
to
the
look at that.
alternative as
That's
a
right.
microturbines.
That's right. That's right.
Main Street project is still on hold because of all the other issues. The emergency facilities with the gas, we're still waiting for the gas company response on that. All the applications have been made.
How long have those applications been in?
Oh, couple, 2 months at least.
I thought it was a lot more than that.
I think we had meetings, we had meetings with them. I
Okay.
waited a long time for the meetings, the site meetings. So I think it's been it's been 2.5, maybe 3 months since the
Was it
meetings.
back in October, I think?
That wasn't the applications were submitted then. That was when the
The
request.
applications
the
to
request.
the New Jersey Natural Gas.
Yes, yes.
Okay, what is our expectation when they respond?
The expectation is good. We've also contacted them relative to the emergency generator. Quite frankly, you know, the use of natural gas here at the plant for that generator doesn't look good because of the size of the generator. So we're gonna stick with diesel right now.
So when do we expect that New Jersey Natural Gas is gonna respond?
We call them periodically. We'll
What's the-
try to put some more pressure on them.
What's the timeline? Is it 2 years, 3 years, 1 year?
I would think within the next three months.
Okay.
You know, so that doesn't really affect, it affects the pump station
Right.
work with regard
That's
to the
correct.
grant monies there. As long as we go out to bid, we can go out to bid with that if we choose to go out to bid with it. And make it conditional upon that. NJEIT funded projects, as I indicated, we're proceeding with the projects.
No, it's Emery Drive.
Emery Drive pump
That's
station.
not because
improvements.
we're at the pump station.
Yeah, had the pre-con, notice to proceed was issued February 5th. Because of the long delay with delivery of equipment, They're not anticipated to start until June. Still can meet the
Okay.
the completion schedule, plus the issue of possibly being funded. If we don't start construction before we get approval from the DEP for the NJEIT, or I'm sorry, for the other project, the other fund, yeah. We can, in all likelihood, get funded for that, and I think that's a key component of this. Right now, because of his schedule, you know, we have not approached him, but because of his schedule indicating he's not gonna start until June, you know, hopefully we can get these guys to approve the application and this project under that.
Are they aware of the schedule?
I don't
So
know.
where
Yes,
we will
they're
have to see a
aware of the
response?
schedule, and I'm actually preparing the formal application for the state and the county's review before it goes up to FEMA. It's clear in there where the project stands and what we'd like to see.
Well, when do they start considering it?
Well, they said that it was gonna take them up until July, and I can't understand why. The project has been bid. If they have any issues with regard to prevailing wage rates or anything of that nature, we put on a change order and give the
Okay.
contractor a change order with regard to that. But it should not hold things up, I mean, it sounds good. The NJEIT funded projects, they are due March 3rd, which is a week from tomorrow. Yes. No, a week from
March
Friday. No, I'm sorry. A week from Monday. And we got a good handle on this. We'll be able to submit the majority of the projects and the work. Pretty complete. Obviously, as I indicated before, we're gonna have time to go in there and make the modifications, make the details and everything else after the submittal is made. Probably have 2-3 months at least before the projects are approved, the funding's approved, and we move along with that. I think Bill's put together some financials with regard to that. And as I indicated before, we have some flexibility here. We put a lot of projects in so that if we get good funding and good response on grant monies, not grant monies, but principal forgiveness monies, may enable us to do all of the work as opposed to just parts of it. But we're expecting we're gonna do a significant portion of it. There's just some at the higher end that we basically have put in there, and if we can do it, we can do it, but they're not the highest priority.
John, is the submittal deadline March 1st?
Yes.
March 1st is Saturday.
Yeah.
We're
March
gonna
1st.
submit it, I thought it was the 3rd, I checked with Sue. It is the 3rd.
It is the 3rd?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can
We're
change that.
shooting to submit on Friday.
So you're going
that would
on
be
the first,
February 28th.
even though the deadline's on the 3rd.
Okay, so we should make that February 28th?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, wait a minute.
We're
The
shooting
deadline is March 1st.
March 3rd.
Yeah,
March 3rd, so we're gonna submit on
We're shooting for the Friday.
Which is the 28th.
28th? Okay.
I mean, if it comes down to printing and it's a last minute thing, then we'll hand deliver it on Monday. I
Okay.
don't wanna get into a situation a couple of years ago where they had a snowstorm and they closed the DEP offices around
Oh,
12.
wait a minute.
What's a snowstorm?
We don't have that around.
We don't have snowstorms here. Okay. Continue, please.
And that's all we have right now.
That's it.
Anybody has any questions?
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Okay, next is the engineer subdivision report. Looking for a preliminary and final approval for a project on Red Hill Road.
This is a project that's been hanging around for probably 5 years. They originally wanted to come in and put in septics. That was not, we would not allow that. There was connections available. There was dry sewers over there, difficulty with the existing easement. So we gave them an option. They came in, they were gonna get an easement through the properties to make a short run from their subdivision down into Deepdale. That fell through. Apparently the money was too much. So we said to them, you either go back to the original, or you go all the way around, replace the last section of sewer in Deepdale, and make the connections, the old connections back to it. So that's what they're doing. which is acceptable to the authority. But this has been around a long time, so it's kind of anticlimactic. There's a total of 4 units.
Okay, so the easements on people's property was too expensive, and that's why they were.
Apparently so. I don't know why they came to us and wasted all this time without getting a commitment ahead of time. Because their engineer had designed it
Who's
that way.
Jacob Court? It's, Red Hill Road and Jacob Court.
Well,
That's the new road,
The new road.
It's a new road. Now, where's that respect to detail?
just west of Depot. Goes up the hill.
Is that the police farm or?
It's a farm. It was, it is a farm.
Lease.
It's
No, it's
entered, I
not the
believe.
police.
Hmm?
Police is on one now.
I don't know.
instead
Is that
of-
the houses that in back of that farm?
There's a water tower right behind it.
Oh, that big water tower. They're already building houses there, huh?
They're built.
They're built.
Yeah. Now, the
No,
one you're thinking
the
about
police
is
is
the,
built.
Yeah.
one you're thinking about is Oakdale.
Right, the police farm is built.
Okay.
They're not all.
Oakdale was Roger Mumford.
Right next to the deep police's.
Correct.
Yeah.
There was a house there that they raised.
Okay.
Does anyone have any further questions? Okay, thank you.
Need a motion for that, right?
A motion to proceed. Road.
And we need a second.
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Epsick?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Okay, there's a series, actually about 6 or 7 resolutions in a row. The first one is appointing Peter Soriero as our risk manager to the JUC for this year.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Can we do a voice vote?
I guess they're all in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The second one is authorizing, a resolution authorizing disposition of the litigation. Rich Leahy was involved with this. This is the one for the easement that was settled.
Mhm.
Right.
Um,
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Can we get roll call on that?
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Epsick?
Yes.
Mrs. Beck?
Yes.
Okay, the next is a resolution appointing Brooke Holdivest as our equal opportunity officer.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
A second, I assume that there's some training that's gonna be attached to this, where she has to go on some training.
Yes, what's going to occur is we're going to facilitate that through the efforts of the Township of Middletown, who have a EEO officer who has had previous training, knows the best seminars for her to take, most cost-effective way for TOMSA to facilitate her transition into this position. And I've engaged the township for that regard, and they're willing to help us facilitate her in this new position. It's from my readings in the subject of the topic, it's best to have a female holding that position, so no one feels intimidated to approach and disclose any possible harassment or things like that. So that's why we're making this move.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
I think you had already done that.
I already seconded.
Yeah.
Oh, did he? Okay.
We forgot already?
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Epsick?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Okay, the next one is authorizing me to be to act as the authorized representative of the township to the NJEIT project.
I'll make the motion.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Epsick?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes, and thank you, Ray.
Okay, the next resolution is basically authorizing Mazer, John Van Dorp, to estimate the cost for the NJIT project.
So moved.
I'll make that motion.
You can second it, Tom. Andy already moved it. Would you like to second? Tom?
Tom, you want to second that motion?
I'll second it. I guess I didn't make it.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Zepsi?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Okay, and the last resolution is authorizing me to sign the checks for the application fees for the NJEIT project.
So moved.
I'll move that motion.
I'll second.
Annie?
Okay.
Andy is second.
Annie's
Mr.
got it.
Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Zepsi?
Yes.
Mrs. Bell?
Yes.
Okay, next is the director's report. No lost time accidents during January. The operations were conducted within permit. We took one tank out of service, repaired it, took a second tank out of service and went frozen on us, so it's still defrosting. The revenue, we were.
Can you back up on that?
Yeah.
Is that an active tank? Was that an
No,
active tank
we-
that froze up, or the one on standby?
It's standby. There are 4 primaries, and at this point, we probably need 2 to 2.5.
Right,
Yeah, so
so they weren't active, and they froze
they,
up.
we use all 4 of them.
Yeah, but you
But the
really
one,
weren't
the
running
one that
through.
froze up was taken out of service before it froze. We
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's not a big thing. I mean, if
Okay.
we wanted to, we just, basically aim hoses at it, we'll free it up. But the weather will do it.
Throw your
for us.
coffee at it.
Yeah.
Friday will take care of it.
Yeah. Let's see, financial, on the revenue side, all year we were pretty much 3% under budget every month. And this last month of December, actually, the combination of 2 Atlantic Highlands payments, the lien payments, and then making an effort to get some of the strip malls to pay out, basically put us into the positive category. So we went at basically 2% over for the year.
What's the issue with the strip malls? I mean, we all pay on quarterly. Do they have a problem with that?
It's not that there's a problem, but there's tenants and owners, and sometimes the owners have it. It depends who you send the bills to. If you send the bill to each individual tenant, you kind of have to track them down. Sometimes they wind up going into lien. The owners don't know they're going into lien.
Well, who's
That kind of
responsible to
stuff.
pay the bill in a strip mall? I assume there's
It's different.
connections.
It's almost different. There's basically 2 ways to go, and they're split. Some of them the owner pays, some of them.
Ultimately, the owner of the property holds
Yeah.
ultimate
If
responsibility.
in this
for the
particular case, if the tenant is the one who's responsible for paying it, the owner most likely won't know. And if
Yeah.
there's a lien that goes on it, the
Yeah.
lien goes on the owner's property,
That's
which
correct.
is.
Right.
That's correct, but,
You know.
but TOMSA does not have to get involved in an agreement between a property owner and his tenant. If as a matter of courtesy to the property, we bill the tenant, fine, but it's the owner who's ultimately responsible for the payment of the bill, and that's whose property is lien, so it not be paid.
So if the tenant doesn't pay,
Yeah.
then we as a courtesy follow up by sending a notice to the owner.
Well, we send it
We
to
are
the
not.
known address. We send notices to the address we have on file. That's
For-
our responsibility.
The owner or the tenant?
Whoever that address may be.
You know, if you're gonna lien the property, you need to give them.
Yeah, you have to go, you have to notify the owner of the property, because most likely the owner won't know that the tenant of his hasn't paid.
It's the owner's decision to advise what address the bill is to go to. We do not have to search out or seek out where an owner might lie. We're provided with an address, and that's who we send our notices to.
I understand the legal aspects of this. However, as a taxpayer and of the township, perhaps we should, if we come into like the November period and find a piece of property, one or two of his tenants haven't paid, we kinda,
If
you know,
we're forwarding a lien to the tax department for execution, the tax department is going to notify their addressee that a sale is to occur, whether it be for our fees, the township's
Okay.
taxes, they will,
well, I understand that part, but I
I don't know that our notice requirements go much further than that.
I think the rules and regs are not, it gives you that option. And I tend to agree with you that basically it's the owner's responsibility to collect, and if he doesn't collect, that's tough. And we basically.
well, if we don't collect,
If
whoever's
it's-
designated,
it's only
the lien
one
goes
owner.
against the owner.
Yeah, if it's only one owner, sometimes you get these strip malls where the units.
Right, the stores are all
Separate.
separate, yeah, I understand.
And if you're billing based on water, you know,
Yeah.
individual water meters or one common meter, that makes all the difference in the world too.
So, Engel, am I hearing you say that you would like us maybe somehow to notify the owner before we put it into?
Well, I thought we just heard that township will notify the owner if he decides to put a lien on the property.
No, but is it?
Well, we
is it
understand
given
that
more
end of
time?
it. In the end, the owner is gonna get hit, but,
And he's gonna get notified before the lien goes on.
yeah, but, you know, and probably, it's just being, you know,
I mean, it'd be nice to give a courtesy.
trying to be a little nicer, slightly.
Well, what if we sent out a letter and said, this is our procedure, could you please,
Why don't we check the rules and regs?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Check the
are,
rules and regs, and then we'll report on that and say, okay.
Okay.
yeah, we do send out duplicate bills to owners and tenants if it's requested.
Yeah, but if I was an owner and I know, I have 3 tenants, I know it's their responsibility, you send me it, I would just put it in that basket and say, well, they're gonna pay it. No way do I know that they didn't pay, until the lien time comes, and then all of a sudden, I go ballistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the landlord should know.
I know, well, I know.
Or to
how
do
it
a
works.
business.
I'm, you know, okay, I'm just,
Okay.
You're just dragging the meat now.
Yeah. Okay. The treatment plant averaged 5.56 million gallons per day. The numbers are higher this month, they're coming out of January into February.
Think that has anything to do with the snow melt off?
Mostly.
well, wait until this month and next month.
I'm just,
Yeah. Let's see, coastal discharges group, there hasn't been any new information basically given out. We did receive a call from Leon Moss, who's the person that reviews our permit, and he was basically called into a meeting for all the coastal discharges permit reviewers. So he said we should be hearing something soon. We did receive one additional check from FEMA for $33,841, bringing the total from, the total from FEMA is $103,000, and the JIF is $247,000, so we did receive $350,000 to date.
Of approximately how much?
Well, I think we'll probably get another $350,000 out of $1 million.
Okay.
Yeah. So, we also,
It's progress.
70%.
yeah, we
Well, it should be
basically.
90%
Yeah,
on the FEMA stuff.
yeah.
How's that going?
Some of it's not reimbursable.
It's not allowable.
Even though, when that was going over with FEMA, they said, yes, we accept that, we accept that, we accept that. I remember those meetings, we put the projects together and everything, went in the project, they accepted. And all of a sudden now we come in and say, oh, we didn't really mean what we said.
Tell them it's but.
You should have them make sure their checkbook's right there, and they're writing their check for you, then and there, and then you can believe them, or get in writing.
So if something's not accepted, do we appeal it?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. Let's see, our safety training program's begun every January, February, March. We started with an all-employee meeting, we've had CPR, first aid, workplace discrimination training, confined space lockout, tagout was snowed out, but we have another one coming up,
Is that rescheduled?
yeah, April 3rd.
Thank you.
Number of service calls was 30, the number of blockages was 8. 2 pump station calls, 4 manhole overflows. Let's see, the Oswald is basically begun the flushing program that we do during the winter. All the lines that have potential for grease buildups, we've gone through. Let's see, we've had 1 new subdivision application in January, 7 new connection fees. The key indicators we'll be doing tonight. As John Van Dorp said, Brian Richmond went to a couple meetings. He also went to a 1-day seminar on designing and constructing flood-resistant buildings, so I guess that's my report.
Did you come away from that meeting, Brian, with any more information than we've had, like flood-resistant buildings, like a bubble?
It was, the meeting, it was a morning and afternoon session. And the morning focused on the regulatory requirements and building codes, things like that. And then in the afternoon, it talks about the design of buildings and things like that. What I gathered from the meeting is we're pretty much on the right track going with the flood barriers to
What we're
the
doing.
existing building.
So there's no foolproof method to protect our buildings?
Yeah, no, I mean, other than what we've been pursuing all along.
Move it to Red Hill.
But, well, no, I was hoping maybe, there'd be some kind of like balloon that they could drop over us.
Now we're going to possibly pressurize these buildings so no water can get in. Oh, you believe that one, you believe anything.
Just kind of wishful thinking.
A question on this report. I noticed that the last page has basically information I was actually looking for, is the connections for Highlands, Atlantic Highland, Middletown, blah, 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 blah. I also noticed in the report, we have the flows. We talked about 5.56 million gallons per day, and that's on the average, that's for everybody. Is there a possibility we can, for future reference, we can break that into 3 flows? One is Middletown flow, one is Highlands flow, and one is Highlands flow. And then we can plot those.
Well, actually, that's,
I'm sure we can do that.
yeah. We have it, we're, basically this year, we started to get the information from Atlantic Highlands separately from Highlands.
Right.
And then we do every month get a report from McBoa telling what our flow is. So if we can charge for 3 of those, yeah.
Yeah, so for future information, since now we're dealing with not another entity, but 2 other entities.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm sure you can plot those too. That's,
Oh, yeah.
it's basically data in a column and it automatically plots.
Yeah, yeah,
That'd be nice, a plot as that goes.
actually, I guess it could go on to the key indicators or directly.
Well, maybe on a monthly, you would have a sheet there of flows, and
Yeah.
instead of just the composite flow of 5.56, we would have that number, but then we'd have another page where it's broken down into 3.
Yeah.
And not a number, but just a chart, run
Okay.
on a plot on it. That's it. Picture's worth 1,000 words, all the time.
Unless it's been photoshopped.
Okay, right into the key indicators, I guess. The safety, the 2 lost time accident indices. Earlier in the year, it was an employee fell through a gate, and the second one was an employee hurting his shoulder. Those 2 yielded us 39 days in lost time accidents. The sick day, percent sick day, finished the year pretty much almost flat at 4%, which was just a little bit over last year's. Financial, basically 2% over budget, which are under, this is operating expenses, these are expenses, this is 2% under, and revenue was 2% over. So that was the right order. Investment interest was a little higher than we budgeted. The general fund account, this, I think we'll probably be straightening this out in a couple months, but obviously what it shows is that if we try to do all the projects in front of us, there's room in negative. The billing collection rate, 97%, which is after the lien procedures. New connection fees, December was nice, 14.8, so that put us over for the year. That also, of course, figured into the revenue, that was another, I think, $60,000. Atlantic Highlands was a little bit over budget. Telephone expenses were a little bit over. Electricity was under, which we expected. That the blowers are going to run at a minimum speed, which is great.
A little on electricity,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been doing readings, but because of the winter in the east, gas prices, natural gas prices have really spiked.
Mm.
But since we're on the contract on power,
Yeah,
our power costs have not changed.
yeah,
So if we were buying on a monthly basis, this would kind of destroy this thing.
yeah.
So that's the advantage of going on long-term power purchase agreements.
Yeah, we still have, I believe, another year on the natural gas and another year and a half on electric.
Right.
Natural gas, we're pretty much just on for the year. Water expenses were a little bit over. There weren't any leakages, but we just seem to be using a little more water. The flow is the lowest of the last 4 years, and maybe it'll come up, but it's still missing in action more or less.
Do we have any, is that because the water tables are down?
Well,
And you were talking about no sump pump, no
yeah.
sump pump and no infiltration?
I don't have an answer. I basically,
Because anybody, I mean,
Yeah, for
the other
some
ferries
reason-
have the same problem, the same
Yeah.
issue.
for some reason, we haven't bounced back yet from the hurricane, and I can't give you an answer for where the water is.
Well, a hurricane, the water just flows out, away.
Yeah.
So
No, but-
really, when you have a soaking spring like
Yeah,
we may have in the next few months,
yeah.
you know,
No,
when this stuff starts
I
melting.
remember, I mean, historically, our worst month was, what was it, May of '98.
That's true.
March, we
It was
went up
March.
to, we were, the plant's rated at 10.8, we were at 10.8 every day. But basically, the water company is upset because the water use is down, and it's, we don't have an answer, but we haven't found anything either. I mean,
Right.
if there was a leak someplace, it's a year and 4 months now, but it hasn't been found.
And you said other authorities were experiencing the same,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Southern Monmouth, Western Monmouth, Bay Shore all have low flows.
yeah.
And Bay Shore's flow in relation to our flow through the outfall authority, they usually run 54% at Bay Shore, and we're 46. Well, even though the flow is lower, we still have that same ratio.
Same ratio.
Yeah.
So
So it's whatever it is, it is.
everybody's having the same issue.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Well, it's not an issue. It's down.
That's right.
I mean,
yeah.
if it was up, how very high, we'd have an issue. It's down.
Sucking that water in.
The next is the VOD, which is below 5, and the TSS, which is below 10. And again, we don't talk too much about the treatment plant, but it's just working phenomenal, just great. The sludge indicators, the amount of dry sludge just sits all year, and it's just a matter of how much water it's got mixed in with it. But we're up pretty much averaging somewhere around 17% for the Cape. The collection calls, we obviously had a lot more calls this year than we did last year, but the amount of blockages is pretty much the same. Okay. The construction fund analysis, I had given you another sheet. We looked at the numbers and we transferred $750,000 from the revenue fund back into the general fund. So things aren't as dire as I was thinking they were like last month, but basically, taking the amount of money that we have in the construction for the general fund taken out the construction bills and the 12 months of costs that we've already committed to, at the end of that, we still have $1.5 million. So that's, I mean, it's not as good as having 2 or 3, but we still have 1.5 after we're done. So I think with that amount of money in there, we can start doing some of the smaller plant projects that we'd like to do, like the wireless project. And we did receive 1 new vehicle today, so we're not looking for new vehicles, but we can talk. But I'd like to do the wireless project and then a couple of the other ones that we can possibly get
How
started.
are we prioritizing them? Are we prioritizing them by amount? Because you said the smallest one, or are we prioritizing them by importance?
Well, the wireless one is one that's important to us,
Okay.
and it's got basically, it's going to allow us to reduce the cost of our telemetry system drastically. So we need to spend like $50,000 to get the engineering for it down, and then after that we can do 1 pump station at a time.
Okay, during the last month, I had a comment on the one that was handed out on the, we had 2 columns, designed and committed. You know, and I don't have a problem with, personally, with 2 columns. The issue I had was that I think we all like to see what's in the, what's we need to do, you know, on a longer term basis. And I think that was the right size. And that's where, you know, you have the wish list, and we had the wish list underneath, and, you know, it's not really meant to be all knocked off in 1 year. Or it could be 2, 3, 4 years, or there may be something down there that's not gonna get done. And the other column, which I got a little bothered by, it was the amount, because at that time, I didn't think I was president and voted on all that money. And I would think that inner column should cover the projects that we are working and have committed certain amounts of funds. But that doesn't mean we have committed that project. It's just money that we have committed.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, Emory Drive, we committed that. That's $700,000.
Right,
There are other projects we committed design money.
right,
That should be in that column.
yeah.
But there may be a capital amount of money to actually do the project, we haven't committed to that.
Right,
Okay, and that's where I had a problem with that.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, no, it looks like, basically using this thing as an assistant, I can make the two columns now with that understanding.
Yeah, then you have 2 listings too,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, it
2
just-
pages.
Yeah.
I know it's hard, but, you know, we're spending the money.
Yeah,
We wanna know what we committed, and we wanna keep track of it, and right now, I saw the number, and I said, whoa, I don't think I was here, committed all that money,
yeah,
so, that's the only issue.
yeah. No, I can fix that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, the next is the actual budget analysis, which has us at having expended 93% of the money for December 31st, 2013. Next is the staff engineer's report.
So the majority of the report deals with chasing down the grants and getting that paperwork together and organizing projects to be presented to the county, state, and federal level. But starting at the top of the report, the authority has an annual submission requirement to DEP regarding the digester gas quality and quantity. This was prepared and submitted. The second item summarizes the status of the grants and the EIT funding and what was done. So the energy allocation grant, this is for the purchase of a new generator. There was a meeting in late January. I attended the meeting with John, and I'm putting together the application right now that's due basically the same time as the EIT project, March 3rd. The second grant for FEMA, the pump station modifications and natural gas generator conversion. There was a separate meeting held for that, similar applications preparing that, and it should be submitted at the end of next week, the beginning of the week after.
Is this where the Emery Drive pump station was sitting?
Yes, that's where the Emery Drive.
So it's more than just modifications, it's actually could be rebuilding or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then the EIT trust financing, we've had meetings to discuss what should be put on that and how to package that to the EIT. And then the flood hazard mitigation grant under FEMA, that's for the flood hardening of facilities here at the plant. And some of that's being moved in with the EIT, and some of that's moving along on its own.
Why would that be in the EIT?
Well,
Some of it's not funded.
some of it's not funded.
They already said they're not gonna fund it.
Yeah. So
I know words like that.
Yeah.
It don't make any sense, but that's the way it is.
yeah, for instance, the sub pumps, they'll pay for some pumps in the operations building, but nowhere else.
And no sump pumps in any other building.
Yeah.
That's very logical.
And the flood barriers are in a similar predicament with different buildings.
We only protect certain buildings, not the ones we really have to protect.
Buildings that we're,
I guess they figure there's no humans in the
I just, you know,
Don't try to figure it.
Yeah, don't forget.
well, I've been in meetings with John and Tefemer, and, you know, we're looking at each other, we scratch, you know, nothing ends up. And then you have another meeting, and it sounds like they didn't listen to the previous meeting.
It's a different team of people.
So yeah, on the 29th, there was the meeting for the energy allocation grant. John and I went to. The meeting on February 6th was myself and Steve from Asia. So we also worked with Cooper Power Systems to evaluate the existing emergency generator here at the plant, and an email was sent out, prepared and sent out. There was, the state was concerned that the CAPA regulations might apply to some of the mitigation work. I put together some information to them and convinced them that a CAPA permit wouldn't be required.
Good job.
I just thought that this didn't cover
Did
it all.
right now.
Yeah,
So that is just too far.
Tonight.
I've got it in writing, so hopefully that holds a little bit of water. That's-
You woke somebody up, I know that.
Yeah. The final project worksheet as part of the Sandy restoration was FEMA obligated the funds for it. This is the final worksheet and the largest of the worksheets. There's about $500,000 of restoration work in various buildings around the plant, and about another $500,000 worth of mitigation around the plant. They obligated all but $100,000 of the almost $900,000 for that. So
What does that mean?
So that means FEMA, that we requested the $892,000. FEMA reviewed it and they said $100,000 of that isn't eligible.
Okay, so that's what they obligated to. So if we do the project, then we have to put the money up front anyway. And then
Yeah.
present them the invoices and bills. We can expect them to pay $793.99.
No.
So, or they're gonna come back and say, well, we're not gonna approve this one, we're not gonna,
They'll pay 90% of that $793,000.
so that's the commit, this time they committed.
that's given,
Yeah.
Not like previously, we put it in, and then all of a sudden they disallow things.
No, they've gone through the disallowing
Okay.
process at this point.
The board understands that that 793 is not the 90% figure, they're paying 90% of that.
Yeah.
Right,
So
right.
we're still on the hook for 10%.
We understand
About
that.
70.
Well, that's better than some of the other stuff. Okay.
As Ray mentioned, FEMA sent us the check for the $33,841. This was for the restoration of this building.
Right.
been looking into flood barriers. I prepared specifications, plans, and details for that, and forwarded that to Major to include it in the EIT project. Monmouth County is replacing the bridge over Compton's Creek. That's the on Broadway in between Port Monmouth and here. We have a interceptor that runs along the north side of that bridge, buried off the side. So I reviewed those plans and provided comments. And then administrative items. We're still working with ADP to update the time clock and payroll system. We're looking into upgrading the phone system, and we have quotes for that. And then we also met with a company that provides its document archiving services. Since so many documents were lost in Sandy, we're looking to digitize them and getting them in a database where we can pull the data when we need them. So we should be getting a quote by the end of the month for that work. And that's it, unless you have questions.
I think that was very comprehensive report, thank you. Does anyone have questions?
I think all the reports by everybody have been quite on the ball.
Agreed.
Okay, next item is George's report.
Well, I guess in general, we did pretty well this month despite everything the winter threw at us. We've seen some things happen because of the cold that I never saw happen before in 24 years I've been here.
Such as,
Like sludge conveyor that takes sludge from the belt presses out to the bin, froze. Not once, 4 times.
Do we start our big generator more often when it's sub-zero weather out? Like, you know how if you keep a car on the street, you have to start it? Do we do
Yeah.
that with our generator?
No, we start it once a week religiously. We test it, but it's heated.
Oh, we have a heater?
It's inside the building, it's
Okay.
heated, it has block heaters,
Okay,
it's always ready to go.
okay. Just want to make sure
that's
that
fine, that's fine.
we weren't sitting there waiting
No,
for
no, no, no,
Sunday
no,
morning
no.
at 9 o'clock for it to go off.
That's always heated, and our guy Warren, he takes good care of that generator, make no mistake.
Good.
Otherwise, we fixing burst pipes all over the place,
First pipe.
Yeah.
Inside buildings,
sometimes, yeah.
even though they're heated,
Yeah. Some of the pipes that go along the walls,
the outside wall?
yeah, like I said, things happen that never, ever happen. Things
Those
froze.
pipes are basically the sublevels.
Some, yeah.
Can we insulate them?
Oh, yeah, pipes bursted that were insulated with heat paper on them. The extreme cold, when it got really, really cold, like 3 degrees at night sometimes, and the winds.
Oh, yeah, but those pipes are inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no wind inside.
Some of them in the dewatering building are actually on the wall of the sludge bin. All right, so,
On the above ground.
yeah,
Oh, of course.
but they've never frozen, ever.
Is there anything we can do to protect?
We put more heat tape on them, and, I mean, well, I'm not talking about like bang, boom leaks, but little leaks everywhere, you know?
Is that on the pipe or in the connections?
On the pipe connections,
There's a plastic, is that those metal pipes or plastic?
they are copper, by and large.
They have to be?
They're city water pipes.
Pressure.
Yeah.
Because they have a plastic pipe now that's out that contains some type of expansion,
Yeah.
Is there some, I mean, once we get a broken pipe, is there some advantage of replacing the whole pipe?
Perhaps, I don't, when was the last time we saw this? I remember one time in the 90s, I saw 10-degree temperatures around here. And none of the pipes ever broke. But it was that sustained, real
Yeah.
cold.
Well,
So
it's,
many, and even after that cold passed, the highest temperatures at night were in the teens,
Right.
in the 10s,
So even though water is still pumping through them, they still froze?
How fast?
I
Some-
thought if you left the water faucet in your house dripping it was supposed to protect your pipe, so obviously that's not the case.
Yeah, it depends on how much you let it drip.
That's
I
right.
told Ray he's gonna probably get a nice water bill next month, because we left water running everywhere, you know?
To keep
Try-
the pipes
yeah,
from
sure.
breaking.
You don't have to, because basically even in your house, if you pick one faucet, the rest of the house stays stagnant.
You could just pick always the highest faucet.
Yeah, the one furthest away, but still, if there's branch connections, it doesn't matter.
If you have pipes on the outside walls, even in the house, they'll crack. But I was just wondering, now you said, well, it's never happened before, but, we never got flooded once before either.
Exactly, yeah.
So maybe somewhere along we need to, during a nice sunny day.
You're telling me.
I mean, we kind of know what we maybe can do, have to do. But it's probably gonna happen again.
Yeah, it happened, in that one particular it happened during the first cold spell we had. Nothing significant, we knew it was coming, so we got our eye on everything that might, be
So now
compromised.
you're leaving the water run a little bit
Oh, yeah.
faster or more, whatever.
And we put more insulation on it, and we put more heat tape, Heat tape, they actually heat the pipe electric.
Insulation around the pipe. And that didn't keep the temperature?
Yeah, so far,
That worked?
yeah.
Okay, that should work.
So you don't wanna borrow my hair dryer?
We have some. But we did fine, we had a lot of little issues, but.
Now, when you put the heat tapes on, there potentially long-term fire issues. How are you gonna address that?
Yeah, in those areas, there's nothing combustible,
Okay.
really.
And you're saying there was heat in the building?
Well, these particular pipes were actually almost outside.
Out the outside wall.
So they're on the outside
Closed.
wall, but in my home, pipes that are on the outside wall.
No, they're on the inside of the insulation. If they're on the outside of the insulation, they're gonna freeze and
Oh,
crack.
so you're saying these pipes are on the outside of the building wall?
No.
They're
No,
inside the
inside.
They're
the
building,
wall.
inside the building,
and the building is heated,
yes.
and they're still,
That only happened in one location in the maintenance building. It was a pipe feeding a slop sink. And despite the fact that it's that converted, it's converted garage. So there was insulation in there, but there wasn't much insulation.
and not enough heat, obviously.
There's also wind in
And the wind.
Well, leaked.
Well, I think you just better have a talk with Mother Nature.
Oh, God.
Well,
I'm trying.
it's an experience, we found things now, we record those, and in the future, we have some work maybe we need to do.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's all it's to.
That's the beauty of this, is you go along, you learn.
You never know.
I don't think heat tapes ever started any fires, not that I'm aware of.
And if anyone would like to follow you.
Well, I've been fighting fires for 50 years.
I know.
I've read some stories on heat. Maybe not installed properly, or they're bare, and that was the problem, maybe not done properly.
Yeah, next item is public comments.
Yeah, I have a few comments. Linda Bound, 19 Make Court. And my first question was, what was the purpose of the executive session meeting tonight? There was no announcement, or motion made, no resolution for it, so what was the purpose?
It was to discuss the qualifications for professional appointments.
Okay. And did anyone take minutes at that executive session?
Yeah.
All right. A question regarding item 12 on the agenda, which is the adoption of minutes. And it didn't list the date, but it was said to be the January 16th regular meeting. Did you adopt what minutes were adopted? Public session or executive session minutes from that meeting?
Public session.
Okay. I think that should be listed on your minutes, on your agendas, because really, public session minutes and executive session minutes should be adopted separately, especially if you're only adopting one and not the other, it's not clear. And just a reminder that while you can discuss executive session minutes in executive session, they are required to be adopted in public session. And there's absolutely nothing on any of your agendas that indicates what has been adopted. These adoptions are typically public session minutes. So, like I said, it's not clear what's been adopted, if anything, for your executive sessions. And I'd like to also mention, I received a copy of the minutes for the public sessions for the last couple of years, and I looked through them. It was pretty easy reading because they're pretty much identical, to even 2 years' worth. There's very little difference. It's the date. Even my comments, at the meetings, it was almost exactly the same line. Like Ms. Baum had some comments about the authority's operation, and it said that on 3, 4, 5, 6, minutes in a row. By law, these minutes are supposed to be reasonably comprehensible, which also means that, there should be an accurate reflection of what is discussed. And certainly, were someone to look at that and see the exact same comment, which says absolutely nothing about what that person actually said. The same is true for the board members. There's nothing is written down about the comments from the board members. And something else to keep in mind is that the minutes are not just a tool for the public. They are also a tool used by the board. I mean, consider when you have a new board member come on, and you do have a new board member coming on soon. He's been Mr. Ostrander. And, were he to look at your past minutes and try and get up to speed, all he would know was what resolutions were adopted. He would have no idea, really, of the discussion at the meeting. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Let's see here. That's pretty much it. I did put in a request for executive session minutes, and I'm still waiting. Mr. Leahy, I will receive those by tomorrow.
You will, Ms. Brown.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else from the public? Seeing no one else from the public?
Where it is necessary and proper for this board to discuss matters pertaining to contract negotiations, specifically TOMSA to Atlantic Highlands, this discussion being appropriate and proper pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12, subsection 7, be it resolved that the board enter into a non-public discussion, the minutes of which will be disclosed when the board finds the need for confidentiality to no longer exist. Can I have someone move that resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Oh, Andy, I guess you just.
Can we have a vote, please?
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Stokes?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mrs. Zapsik?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowles?
Yes.
Ms. Cowan, can we take a 2-minute break, please?
Good night, everybody, and thank you very much.
Let me ask you this, Dave.